Well, thank you for joining us for this pre-concert talk as we prepare to perform and present to you Bach's amazing St. John Passion. I want to first thank everybody who attended our Mozart and Haydn performances in January. They were a smashing success. It was such a thrill for me to go back and revisit those pieces, an old masterwork in Mozart's C minor Mass and a future masterwork in Jocelyn's The Notebooks of Leonardo da Vinci, which I am pleased to report we will be in the studio again this May, recording it and Jocelyn's Here I Am, which we premiered a year ago, January. I did just come back from LA, as doing some final editing and mastering on our upcoming Jake Runestad CD, and I cannot wait to share that with everybody, hopefully sooner rather than later. But first things first, our 20th anniversary season continues. It's been a blockbuster season. I have yet another great opportunity to come back to an incredible piece in Bach's St. John Passion. This is just a more reflection of True Concord's commitment to performing the great masterworks of the canon. And I have been able to conduct his, what I call the big three, his St. John Passion. This will be our second time, his St. Matthew Passion, and a couple of times with his B minor Mass. And I am honored to be joined by my mentor, Bruce Chamberlain, who for 20 years or more led the University of Arizona's choral activities, specifically the largest of its kind in the nation graduate choral conducting program, of which I'm a proud graduate. Bruce, thank you so much for joining me today.
Eric, it's a pleasure to be here.
It's always great to be with you. And you have been around all of these pieces, specifically the St. John Passion, for throughout your career. The hallmark of your program, I would dare say, under your leadership at the university, was your focus and expertise on the great choral orchestral masterworks. And this piece in particular, you spent a lot of time with. You're teaching a course on it right now. What is it about this piece, the St. John Passion, that is so significant when you consider all of Bach's output?
Yeah, well, when you look at those 1,000 of BWV numbers, and you focus in on BWV 245, what does make that very special? You have to put it in context with where Bach was at the time. He had just recently moved from a rather cushy position in Curtin as a court musician, where he was very well cared for, had a nice salary, life was good, and took this position in Leipzig as the cantor, and arrives there in August and is faced with having to come up with a church music for every church, every liturgical festival of the year. Starts in September, of which then the St. John Passion is the pinnacle of this creation for that liturgical Jahrgang, if you will. And it is amazing, the output of this first year. It is staggering to think that there were 50 plus cantatas, plus the Magnificat, plus the St. John Passion, plus Jesu meine Freude. How do you get all of that to happen within 12 months? And then within that, you understand that those 50 plus cantatas were all chorale cantatas. So there is a structure and an understanding of the hymnody of the church that transcends what any of us might have, which has led several musicologists to refer to Bach as the fifth evangelist, because he had such a profound understanding of the texts and the heritage of what made Lutheran church music tick. So for me, this St. John Passion is probably his greatest single achievement of that unbelievably fruitful year.
Absolutely. And you mentioned him having to provide music for not just one, but multiple churches as
Yeah.
part of his job responsibilities, but that this piece was particularly important. It comes at arguably the most important point in the liturgical year for Lutherans, of which he was one, and by which he was employed. Yet this passion, this is not a new convention in terms of a musical form. I mean, like masses, composers over generations have composed settings of the mass. There certainly have been many passion settings. What is it about this passion that stands out and is so important in the overall canon?
Well, certainly it is the understanding of surrounding those two chapters of John, the 18th and 19th chapter of John, which would have been the gospel reading for Good Friday, which in 1724 was April 7. But interjecting between that, moments of repose and finding texts that could make commentary on the dramatic scene that had just unfolded and how that might have impact for the worshipers' present existence and going forth as they would exit the Nikolai Kirche and go into the world the very next day. And putting that together and making that a seamless, organized, unified expression is unbelievable. It's just simply unbelievable.
Yeah, yeah. There are many moments in this work that stand out to me. I'm sure you've got some ones that are particularly poignant for you. But to piggyback on your point, in particular, there are times during the story where there is, immense persecution, suffering, and at key moments, Bach is inserting arias and chorales that really bring it home to the individual person. I'm thinking in particular about Peter's denial, and how first of all, he joyfully proclaims that he'll go anywhere Jesus goes. He'll follow him to the ends of the earth. Ich folge dir. And then later he's reminded that Jesus had predicted that he would deny him, and in one of the most chromatic few bars of the piece, we get the evangelist describing how Peter, in this realization, goes out and weeps bitterly. And then I think Bach's genius here is that he inserts the Ach mein Sinn aria, the tenor who comes in and laments as a person that we can identify with at any point in time, I think, is someone who has not been there and stood by their friend, or someone who had pledged loyalty and wasn't their best person. And then on top of that, Bach inserts this chorale that says, a music that would have been familiar to everyone in the congregation as they heard this, that sort of asks for help for all of us when we fall short and fall down and we aren't there for those that we love.
It is truly an amazing moment. Not to be lost, however, that little the little moment of "and Peter wept bitterly" is actually Matthew.
Oh yeah. It is such a powerful moment. Do you have other times during the piece that really
certainly a spot for me as a conductor, as a musician, but also as a believer, is after Pilate has Jesus flogged, the response to that, the response to the moment in which the absolute pain of this sham trial is brought home to Jesus. The response to that is an arioso for bass and two viola da gamba. It is absolutely heart-wrenching that the pain that Christ must endure is what's going to bring the sweetness of everlasting life for us. It is just transformative, and I have trouble getting through it.
Mm. There are other moments for me too. There's a moment when Jesus is dying and he says to John, John, behold your mother, and woman, behold your son. In his dying moments, he is thinking about the well-being of his mother. And at that point, Bach again inserts a chorale, music that would have been familiar at the time to those who were at this at this telling, in which the message is, look out for those that you love, be there for those, take care of them so that you can die in peace.
Right.
Another powerful moment, and for me, I think the aria that resonates most with me, Es ist vollbracht. Just there is a I don't know quite how to describe it. It's an incredible fusion of melancholy and triumphalism almost, as you go into that B section, and in all this grief that one experiences having witnessed the death of someone that we love, to be comforted with incredible assurance that this was all for the good.
Right. Well, and that's sort of the whole point of Bach's St. John Passion, is the juxtaposition of the victory of the cross, the absolute devastation of crucifixion, which is what brings about the joy and the victory of our eternal life. And that runs through from the opening moments of the very first chorus and runs through the entire piece, focused on that central chorale in the middle of the third scene in the trial before Pilate.
Indeed. So we've talked about the chorales, but there's also a number of choruses, and an interesting feature, I think, of this work and his St. Matthew Passion is the various roles that the chorus takes on. Right. They are certainly they have a part in the story. They also stand outside the story and comment on it. It's interesting that the chorus has to change hats a lot in this piece.
True, it's true. They're the band of soldiers that is in the dark in the Garden of Gethsemane to arrest Jesus. They are a group of legal scholars who are arguing back and forth about, no, please don't say that he is the king of the Jews. Say that he said that he was the king. There's all that sort of legalistic Sadducee kind of role that the chorus has to take. Plus, they become the very body of believers that pricks the conscience of those that are sitting in the Nikolai Kirche and now going to be forever sitting in whatever concert venue or church venue when this piece gets performed subsequently.
Yep. For some, this piece is a highly religious work. Apart from its religious genesis, though, it is a masterpiece in the Western canon. I sort of compare it to an art exhibition that comes into your city, that rarely does so, and it's one that you just need to see, you need to experience, because it is so highly regarded and so sophisticated and so masterful that whether you're religious or not, I think it's something. And when you consider that the last time it was performed in this part of the world was by True Concord, and it was 10 years ago. It could be another 10 years before this piece comes to town again, if you will. What's your overall take, Bruce, on why people should just not miss out on this?
Well, Erica, I am absolutely humbled by it and thrilled by the fact that in the class that I am presently teaching for the Humanities Seminars program, that there are folks taking that course of all faith beliefs across the spectrum, so that it's not just preaching to the converted, so to
Yeah.
speak, but it is also dealing with the St. John Passion as a monument of Western choral orchestral art music that just simply can't be missed. And folks are willing to commit to that and recognize that this is an experience that they have to have because they are a human being, not because they're a Lutheran, not because they're Jewish, not because they're a Christian, not because they're Muslim, but because they are a human being.
Well, I don't think I could have said it any better. I truly believe this piece speaks to humanity and to all of us in all kinds of ways. So I urge everyone to come and please experience this with us. It is it's a special thrill for me to come back to a piece. And Bruce, you've experienced this, I'm sure, many times over your career. You've conducted most, if not all, of the great masterworks. Coming back to a piece you've performed before and being able to discover new things and stuff that you hadn't realized before. And in some ways, at least for me, the first time you're kind of just in survival mode. You just want to, want to make sure you get through it and manage the sophistication and all of the nuance. And now I get to come back to it and go deeper into that nuance. You've certainly had that experience countless times over your career.
Yes, totally. Especially well, with this piece and with the St. Matthew, which I have both of which I have conducted or prepared multiple times. As you come back to it, you go, "Oh my word! Look at that! I never saw that. I never heard that before." That changes how I will progress from here, so that it becomes revelatory in how me as the conductor helps make the piece, helps allow the piece to unfold as a united, uniform expression.
Yeah, indeed. Well, I want to say thank you, a big thank you here in front of all of our viewers, for what you did for me to help prepare me to undertake works of this magnitude, the St. John, the St. Matthew. I mean, the list goes on. We just did the Mozart C minor Mass, the Mozart Requiem, you name it. I think, again, to go back, was a hallmark of the University of Arizona graduate choral conducting program under your leadership. And I can't thank you enough for how much confidence you've given me and how well you've prepared me to have the audacity, if you will, to open up these scores and think, yeah, I can stand in front of all these artists and in front of our audiences and lead these pieces. So thank you.
Well, Eric, you also deserve a lot of credit for what you have established in Tucson to be able to say these pieces and to bring these pieces to the fore that allows us to continue to be challenged by and to be nurtured by the great choral orchestral canon.
Well, thanks, Bruce. Thanks for being a great teacher and for being a great friend. And thank you for joining me on this talk. I look forward to seeing you in the audience. I look forward to seeing all of you. Please do come. This is a very special and unique opportunity to experience this masterwork together. So thank you for all of your support in making it possible to present these works. And again, we look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks again, Bruce.
You betcha. It's my pleasure.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.